I do believe we're live. So I'll say, indeed, and greeting unto you, beloved and holy friends. I'm making a joke about the echo because I can hear it, and I will remove it momentarily. If you give me a second. Look at this, watch this, watch this. Just like that. I did technically position myself, so if I go too far, this wall's supposed to catch me. But yeah, we are in a rocking chair. This chair is way older than me. This chair was old by the time my parents were born. I'm not so sure about that last part, but I do know this chair is older than me. There is something to be said about old things and all the extras they hold. All the extra stories, all the extra sentiment, all the extra feelings, all the extra experience. Today's stream topic is supposed to be about extra. This idea of extra, this idea of adding onto that which already is, right? Like a bonus, like a gift. And the intention of this consideration today is so that we may consider the extras that is our life, that is every single moment we get to have, right? A certain level of appreciation is allowed to set in when you consider this all extra, all right? I don't really want to necessarily go down the morbid realities of our situation sometimes. But when you are not happy, very much so, there can be this will, this drive, this desire to cease to exist, right? And if you have ever felt that way, and you've even potentially gone far enough to experiment, let's say, you might have realized that you failing means that now everything else is extra. I'm trying to open my own stream here as well so I can see chat. Even though there's nobody here, I'll still make sure. There we go. Hey, there is friends here. Nice having you. I'll upvote my own stream. Hey, some of you upvoted too. Bless you. Yeah, extra, right? So again, to say it with less distraction, that when you go through periods of life where you don't want to live, realize that every second you live after that is extra. It's like free. It's like added. It's like something you get instead of something you have to deserve or earn. Maybe the only way to deserve life is to live it. Hi Melt, I'm in lurk mode. Hey Nancy, lurk away dear friend. Thank you for letting me know. Magnificent. Smells very nice indeed. Look at how sticky that butt is. To those who know, you know. And if you can stick your butt to itself like that. These are some of my own homegrown stuff. I really do like it. This is some of the last nugs I have of this particular strain. This is Pheno 2. Pheno 2 is the one I ended up gravitating towards more repeatedly. And alas, I have significantly less of it left. I think I have a total of 3 nugs. 3 nugs left. I have 3 extra Nugs left. Yeah, you see how just by like adding the word extra, now suddenly my whole demeanor has shifted. Because no, my nugs are not almost done. I still have 3 extra. Right? It's all that left, in fact. So much to be grateful for. I'm gonna add heat to this. Studying the right word. Certifying all day. I've been going to class. Yeah, that's technically true. I've been going to class all day. I've learned a lot. I've learned about public and private keys. I've learned about zero knowledge. I've learned about proof of work, proof of stake, proof of importance, proof of authority, proof of contribution, proof of. There's a bunch, and I learned about a bunch of them. I see Jovan here. Love you all, you light bearers, near and far. You're so loved. It's nice to be reminded. Love you too, Jean. Yeah, I learned about how information can be sent on blockchain, right? Where I can have an intention to send you a message, and then I send that message on the blockchain. But at the same time, I, with my private key, encrypt that message and send it on the blockchain as well. And then if you receive my message, you can basically identify whether or not that message has been tampered with by referencing the output message you received with the de-encrypted public key that you have access to from me. Yeah, boom. And then you know. It makes sense, I promise. It makes perfect sense. I'm still trying to understand, and I'm really trying to understand. There's something called. I'm forgetting the terminologies, but there's a concept as well that doesn't. It's like basically a hash function stuff. Hash functions and the different algorithms that go attached to them, right? And how some of them have certain properties, like the property of you shouldn't be able to put in the same input and receive the same hashes. And you should also not be able to have the same hash for different inputs, right? And like I'm like getting bomb blasted by the amount of information I'm trying to absorb right now. And it is out there, and it feels very out of my depth, right? But I'm willing to acknowledge that I'm also now in the process of like learning, right? It's like I'm aware this is an ocean out here, and I'm intimidated, even though only my feet are wet at this point. We got doggos, of course, doggoing here, because there's nowhere else to doggo. No, must here. Must doggo right here. Yeah. I'm gonna add now heat to this system because I haven't been smoking today, because I've been studying. Trying to think if there's anything I'm forgetting about my work. I learned about private keys. I already understood wallets. What I didn't understand about wallets is the public and private key part. I think that is very fascinating to me, right? So like within crypto, there are public and private keys. So when you create a wallet for yourself, you basically create a private key, right? You don't want anybody else to know that, because if they have your private keys, they can essentially digitally sign for things, right? Digital signatures is basically proof that, in fact, the transaction or the message is true, right? So within this system, you have a key and the system has a key. And both of those keys represent you. And then if I and you wanted to exchange value, I would use my private key to enter essentially an entry into the ledger, and you would be the recipient of that entry, and then you on the other side can confirm whether or not you're receiving the capital from me by checking my public key. Right? So we have to have this ability to have things secure and scalable and true, right? With proof of work, you have to have time. Time being spent means that actual work was done, right? That's where the proof comes in. But it's this, like, I'm having my brain melted, you know? Like, seriously, the amount of stuff human beings already know, right? Like, I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing. But I'm learning, and I'm looking forward to it. We have Pippi here too. Is that the river coon saying good morning, MeltMore, and more? You are loved, you are beautiful, every breath is a blessing, and every moment is a gift. Remember your worth. It's true. Remember that every single moment you get from now on and forward is extra. All right? Extra moments. All right? This is now an extra moment for me. We're dealing with some weird electricity stuff where our plugs, yesterday, our plugs were working, but our lights weren't working. Today, our lights are working, but our plugs are not working. So I stopped studying when the power went off. I'm still kind of... I am happy to take this moment with you, friends. Judge, you're coming in with the hugs and shiny fruit. Always. So generous. The weed instantly let me know, hey bro, you haven't eaten anything today. And it's true. It's true. 9 a.m., I sat down to study, and I only stopped at 2:14 when the power went off. And I have been enjoying this process of becoming more familiar. I don't think I'm nearly there. That's cool about the software or web portal, technically, that I'm studying with, is that it has a point system. So you get rewarded for progress. And then it also has a level, if you will. And that level is basically like a competency level of how well the system believes you know what we're talking about. All right, and I clearly don't know what I'm talking about just yet. I need to learn more. Mira Wealth 44. I don't know if you could know this, but 44 is a number that I align with, to say it in so many words, right? MeltMore is 2 M's, melt and more. And if you take that 1 M and you flip it upside down and you bring those 2 M's together, right? It's not a perfect analogy because my middle finger is long. Maybe I can do it like this. Yeah, it's kind of working, right? There is an infinity symbol. And 44, if you take a 4, right, it has that little cross. And if you flip that 4 and you attach them crosswise, that infinity symbol exists there too. If you're down to chat, add me, Mira Wealth. The stream is a whole vibe. You got skills and crazy energy. Would love to see more. Mira Wealth, I do this every day. Literally every single day. Today was day 1547. Consecutive days So I will continue to show up. Are you hearing that? Man, there's a lot of energies flowing through me right now. I've been thinking a lot about the future, and I've been thinking a lot about the state of reality as it is right now for me. And I've been thinking about the changes that are coming, knowing that they're going to be grand, let's say, right? The extent of which my life will change is something that I cannot necessarily know. I can predict for, I can anticipate, I can have some sort of inkling of. But the real experience, your life actually changing, is something experiential, right? It's your own. Today's stream topic is about extra, right? And if we're going to talk about it from this perspective of experience, you can gain extra experience from other people as well. You can gain extra experience from your environment. You can gain extra experience from the people in the environments you find yourself within, right? There is a certain level of, I want to say, responsibility, right? That I think even the universe feels, right? I've been going down these rabbit holes of responsibility and, again, the future, and maybe as it associates to success, wealth. And it's been this interesting journey of almost having to come to certain conclusions. The conclusions of which is, I'm not going to be given extra things necessarily, right? Or all of the extras in my life will be I want to use the word cosmetic, right? For instance, if you're building a house, right? All of the work, all of the foundation, all of the flooring, all of the walls going up, all of the wiring in the walls, all of the roof, all of the ceiling or whatever before the roof, maybe. Ceiling after the roof? Eventually. You know what I'm saying, right? All of that work. And then the extra is the paint that you put on afterwards. If you have a wall that needs paint, of course. Right? And in that way, that extra that you have to do, right, adds a lot. And the work and the worth of the home experientially is the same with or without paint, right? Maybe it's technically a little bit extra work to get the paint on, sure. But if you think about the amount of work comparatively, it's almost nothing, right? To getting the house built versus painting the house. So there is this element of extra, right, that exists within that dynamic. And then think about maybe like the amount of extra that it adds as well, right? A little bit extra work, a little bit extra money, a little bit extra effort towards this goal, towards the completion of the goal, right? And it can add a lot extra from the perspective of perception, of what other people might be thinking, right? However, coming back to the experiential and time-based sacrifice that needs to be made, it might not be that different to you. If you're the one building that home for yourself, and you're building it in the middle of nowhere, if you're building it out of mud, for example, the actual experience of your home you living in your home and you having built your home, is unaffected, is unchanged by the cosmetic, by the extras in that way. Right? Let's say maybe it wasn't just built out of mud. Maybe you did put up walls, but you're not going to suddenly sleep better at night. Maybe if you're very obsessive, compulsively so, maybe it would keep you up, but it's not going to directly affect your quality of life or your quality of sleep. Again, quality of life can be affected by potential wear and tear. Does paint protect your house? Actually, does it? Hey Google. Hey Google. Does a layer of paint protect my house? I am curious. Heavy rain and harsh winds can cause physical damage to your home's exterior. So can falling branches or other debris that may scratch or crack the surface. A layer of paint provides a barrier between the materials of your home and the elements, reducing the risk of wear and tear. There we go. Okay, so it is true. But again, paint hasn't existed forever. Paint is something extra. Paint is something extra that we figured out recently. So then we come back to that. How did we manage without all of those extra things in the back in the days? Love is true. I'm happy that you dig this concept, bro. Extra doesn't make a house stronger, but it certainly makes it shinier and more welcoming if you paint it. Yeah, yeah, and it can protect it, right? I dig on that. So much love. Jovan, did you get everything working again? No serious damage from those storms, right? I know your power was hot. Just checking on the loved ones. So much. That's nice. Yeah, thank goodness. Thank you for checking in, friend. Everything's good. Lots of the stuff in the fridge. Lost the stuff in the fridge. Got some minor repairs to make, but everything is okay here. Good. I'm super happy to hear that. How's your little doggy baby? Do let us know. Creatures in the world. The extra creatures in the world. Are pets extra? Since we're talking about extra. Are pets extra? In this context, it feels like pets being extra feels reductive instead of like it adds. I'll continue reading into that. Little Duckaroo was warm and safe and happy for a night with me, and then found his mama the next morning. Little Buddy was reunited. Bless. That's wholesome. Back to the world where he belongs in. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen it, River Coon. I doubt. And this is not me being like, I just kind of know a part of your archetype, and I don't see you easily gravitating towards that kind of media much. A lot of pretext to say, have you watched The Wild Robot? You probably have heard us maybe talk about it before. It's an animated kids movie, all right? That's why I'm like, all right, one, where is Joe Poe gonna get the time? Joe Poe, sorry about that. Where is River Coon gonna get the time? Two, where is he gonna get the movie? Right? I don't know on which platforms it's available on. Right? So there might be a financial element to it, and if not a financial element, a creative element. Right? And then I was like, maybe not. Probably not for the River Coon. But yeah, The Wild Robot is basically a movie about, you wouldn't guess it, a robot, but more so Lightwing, a little duck. and the journey thereof. It's quite an interesting one. I have not seen it yet. There we go. Yeah, prediction. But it looked pretty good though. I think you'd love it, bro. Especially with you being and having your affinities for the critters of the world. I think you would like it. It's well made. It's very pretty. It is wholesome. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, The Wild Robot, a new animated movie. There are some things that I feel could have been done better. I wish they didn't shoot at. Like, it's not spoilers technically. Technically, it might, it might be an anti-spoiler in a way where you might consider this information going into the movie, and you'll not receive any context of like what. There was one scene where there was big robots. All right, basically deployed, I'll say. And within the environment that they were in that moment, it was essentially like a place for people to farm food. The actions of those robots felt very illogical. Right? So like that's me having to like nitpick like one little piece to find any fault whatsoever. That's how good the movie is. It's amazing. Me and Jovan went to watch it together. Literally when it came out, the second day. It came out the Saturday, we went and watched it the Sunday. It's okay, Malti. You can call me whatever I want. I don't hate any of my names, and I take no offense. You can call me Flower if you want to. Love is true. This really was the best outcome. Such sweetness. Getting them back into the world. That is the ideal outcome, right? Best outcome is definitely right. Every single one of us deserves to be in an environment, right? And different creatures need different environments. If I was a duck, I probably would want to be amongst my duck brethren. Even though it might be pretty cozy inside a home, maybe it's more likely for me to survive. I'm imagining the extra experiences at the extremes. If you want to call me baby, just go ahead now. I'm guessing that's a song, but I don't know the melody. If you want to call me baby, just go ahead now. Nope. I'm like scrolling through my mind and I'm like, I don't know where those lyrics fit. For some reason, my mind thought it might have been an Adele song. And if not Adele, Rihanna for some reason. Do you hear those sounds? That sounds like something screaming for help. Oh. Just a bunch of birds in the trees chasing someone else away. Jovan, yeah, it was getting in my feels about letting him go, but I'm merely a shepherd and a protector when I need to be. He didn't want to go at first, but Mama came by and scooped him up. Happy moments. That is so wholesome. And what you're saying is true, bro. The difficulty, the feels of having to let go. It really is one of those things where we human beings do have to serve that role. As you said, like being a shepherd and a protector when we need to be. right? I'm thinking about it from the perspective of parenting as well, right? If I am ever a parent, do I want to be an helicopter parent? Do I want to be micromanaging my kids' every move and decision? Or do I want to be a shepherd and a protector to them when I need to be? And then when they want to go and be with their peers, right? Be amongst people that they can talk and thrive and grow and dance alongside with. Not that they can talk and grow and dance alongside me, right? But there is a certain world that I can't give. In fact, by being too good of a shepherd, nurturer, or protector, I might end up taking away a life from that which I love. Right? Not taking away the life itself, but just the life that would have been had. What an experience. Cool Zeller. Kun Zeller. Hey, friend. It's nice having you here. We have Akash here as well, giving us a wave. What's up, friends? How's you doing? How's life treating you? How's the weather outside? Looks like it might rain tonight. I know a wood duck named Rivers that was raised by chickens. She peeps instead of quacks. But you know that mama duck will even adopt other baby duckies by accident. I did know. I don't even know if it's by accident. Maybe it is by accident. Maybe I'm reading into it too much. But I've seen videos of like a mama duck with a bunch of babies with her. And then a person just brings a whole like tub of like other babies to the water. And then that mama duck like comes up right to those babies to come and snatch them up. And it might be a matter of like, it doesn't know. It can't actually keep track of all of the babies. So it just tries to keep track of all of the babies. And then it suddenly spots new babies in the environment and is like, oh, those are babies and I have babies. So they must be my babies. And then they assimilate. They assimilate those babies into their little brood. A duck named River. It's pretty, actually. Yeah, maybe it wasn't his mama, but she was all about being the mama. You see. You see. Yeah. And again, right, like we can't teach a duck all of the things that it needs. It needs to literally spend its whole life observing mama, learning from mom how to be. It's been interesting to watch Kobe, watch the other dogs and learn from them too. Like you can clearly see there is like a, oh, this dog does this. Okay, I'll do this too. I thought I missed y'all, still here. It's nice having you, Kiefer. Welcome, friend. Sending you blessings. Melt, you're looking fresh to death today. Thank you. Got the blue scarf. I feel like the patterns are not matching, but matching enough. Got like purple pants, and I'm like, oh no. I should. Bless you, Kiefer. Thank you for the love, friends. Nice having you here. Let's talk about nothing. No. What is zero? Philosophical minds? What's zero philosophically? What's zero? Oh, philosophically in your mind. You literally want to talk about nothing. Zero is, in my mind, the fact that you ask about zero and nothing are not the same thing to me. Right? Because zero to me is the absence of something, where that something is predefined. Right? In other words, if I believed in the concept of 0, I also have to believe in the concept of 1. And I have to believe in the concept of 1 of something. So in the context of holding apples, maybe I have 2 apples in my hands, and then I give you one, and then someone else wants one as well. And now I have 0 apples. I am without apples. Right? In that concept, I believe there is something like 0. Something like without. Come, Bena. Come inside. I'm closing the door. Come inside. She runs outside as I close the door. Of course. So when it comes to 0 in that way, I don't know if that helped my lighting situation. I don't think it did necessarily. When it comes to 0 in that way, I believe there is such a thing. When it comes to nothing, I am of the belief that it doesn't exist. That we are, because of the reality we are in the reality that is without nothing. Right? Because we're in something that's everything in that way. And there's nowhere you can point and show me nothing. Right? Because I'll still be able to find something. Because again, even with my hands empty of apples, there are still hands. So there's still something of something. There's still 2 of my hands. Right? Losing them would be an atrocity, and I would not like to have 0 hands. But even then, I would say there's 2 stumps. Lose my stumps? I'm like, there's floor underneath me where I can't see where my stumps used to be. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? At least that's what I believe. And nothing doesn't exist. Then again, maybe nothing doesn't exist any more than something is. Yeah. Rerouting, recalculating. Nothing is space to create. Oh, I like that. Starting with nothing, right? Again, maybe starting with nothing looks like big black empty room. But there you go. You just got wrecked because big black empty room is still something. That's not nothing. Oh, let's paint. So much love. Morning again, Kiefer. Also, whenever we get a chance to chat, remind me to tell you about the ducks, Melt. You can tell me about the ducks, Kiefer. We're chatting right now. Again, alignment. All right. Jobot. Man, it's really coming down out there. Good. Good. Let it fall. Let it fall, the rain. Emptiness is merely a lack of imagination. Oh. I like that. Was my definition of no emptiness imaginative enough? Questions to be asked. Peer, that lovely. Jobot. Peer, that's lovely. Right? The nothing space to create. If 0 is nothing, how can we talk about it? Even a thought or whatever, or an idea. I'm sorry. For some reason, there was like some sort of weirdness happening that was calling for my attention. You know that little bar you have at the bottom of your phone that you can like scroll up and like go to your apps with, right? That thing was just like moving for some reason. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen you do that. That was just one of your messages that I was like, is it doing it again? Okay, yeah, back to the, if 0 is nothing, how can we talk about it? Even a thought or whatever, or an idea to be talked about has to be talked about as something. Also, did I see a ghost figure walking on the back of you? Maybe. Probably one of my family members walking in the darkness, cast in shadow. No coincidence, just synchronicity. There's a project I'm working on with ducks, and I came into stream straight into ducks. It's a funny coincidence, yeah. Coincidence. Coincidence, sure. Right? The whole point of this space is like an active reminder that there is no such thing. That we get exactly what we show up for. Right? And reality is very malleable in that way. Malleable enough for you to call coincidence synchronicity, malleable enough for you to call synchronicity coincidence, malleable enough for you to believe whichever you believe. Right? Reality is malleable in that way. Right? And again, something extra. Right? That reality can be made extra, can be made more by your efforts into it as well. By your thinking about it. We ebb and flow together as a whole. Oh yeah. Experiencing the nothingness of space in meditation. How the subconscious mind wants to fill the space with fleeting thoughts. The nothingness space is certainly there until you recognize it. You are right, Sean. But again, for me, like we are like referring to a something again in that way. That's why I don't believe in nothing, right? And I've had experiences, as you've said, right? And I thank you so much for like sharing the opportunity to like talk about this as well. The closest, the deepest, I should say instead, that I've gotten into no mind meditation was in a float tank, right? So literally, I'm in body temperature water that is salted, that is in a box, that is in a room, that is completely darked out. So there's not a smidge of light for me to see, and you submerge your ears into the water, so you don't hear much. And the body temperature and water temperature is very similar, so you don't feel much. There is a slight smell, like salt. It smells like salt. Big surprise, right? But you get used to that. Like smell is one of those things that your body adjusts to, and almost like baselines over and over again. And I had a whole hour that I could spend in there. And I meditated, and I got deeper and deeper. And then I disappeared. And I found myself in the middle of, again, let's call it nothing. Right? Black, infinite black in every single direction, right? The void of light, the void of color, the void of experience, the void of meaning. Just the void, right? Just like, and I felt at peace. I felt perfectly at peace. I felt so like, yeah. And I was there for like 15 minutes, just like. And again, experientially, that to me was something. It was to me, I just said it's the void of meaning, but the lesson that I pulled from it is that nobody can take anything from me. Like you can literally try. You could try. You can take everything from me. You can take my light. You can take my loves, my life. You can take everything. You can leave me as consciousness completely devoid of everything. And I'm going to be like, bet. This is fine. This is fine too. Actually, this is fine. And I came out of that float tank feeling very at peace. And again, like everything else is extra, right? Like literally, every second I live, every moment in reality that continues, is just extra. It's just more and more. Zoom, 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 zoom. The space is a little bit magical that way. Yeah, I believe this space was created for this kind of magic even. Right? As a reminder that I don't have to necessarily be even more involved in your life, to be fully in your life. Right? And this is something that I had to kind of like, almost like teach myself, even though that sounds kind of pompous. But the person I am wants to be there for everybody. Right? Forever. However, being a person means that that's not how it works. Because I have needs. I have to sleep. Right? So in that way, there is this dichotomy. A difference of weights. And the part of me that is infinity shows up in these moments. And in these moments, I have shown up so many times that there are like multiple instances of me simultaneously existing online. Right? Thousands of instances of me where you can sit and we can have this conversation. And again, depending on how willing you are to tune in and to think and to go down the mental rabbit holes, the conscious evolution that comes, you can extract what's extra. All of the extra nuggets, all of the wisdom, all of the value that is for you to acquire. That's why I keep praising you, friends, and saying thank you for you showing up, because I know it's not easy. It can be quite the contrary. And you friends do it anyway. That's some love. Let me rephrase. I think it's funny because I see it as a point of alignment, intersection, and connection. I agree. I think I did interpret it in that way. But in coincidence, it's like it happened by coincidence, right? Almost like by accident. Where I believe that there's no such thing, right? Like everything is connected. Our literal minds are connected, right? By a substrate that we cannot see with our eyes, cannot touch with our hands, but it's there and it is accessible, right? What is my favorite verbiage is like the Akashic records, right? Like there's like a super library in mental hyperspace where all wisdom that ever will be and ever was is encapsulated. And when you learn how to meditate and quiet your mind in that way, you don't find nothing. You find everything, right? Like wisdom, like inspiration, like ideas. And implementing them is an honoring of your own mind, your own wisdom, and this like universe as a whole as well, I believe. Right? You exist somewhere where there's everything. Right? So in that way, it can feel kind of disheartening to try and add more to it. But at the same time, the parts of the everything that you add locally can increase in concentration. Right? So yes, there's still everything. But the more of the stuff you want that is created and occupying space, the less of the stuff you don't want gets to be close as well. You know what I mean? Up for your interpretation. You're the one that's supposed to extract what that means to you. What does that mean to your life? Why is procrastination good? I don't think it is. I don't think but I also don't think meditation is procrastination. Right? Because if you're meditating, it should be something you do semi-deliberately. Like, I'm gonna now do this. And then that's what you're doing, right? So it's not a procrastinating. If you're like, I have all of this work to do, but I need to meditate first, that's procrastination, right? So I don't know if procrastination is good. Because it is a democracy, please understand this joke. Like the fact that you're begging me to makes it hurt even more. I think I understand the joke. The way I'm interpreting it is that within democracy, procrastinating means that there's more democracy, which is what is wanted. That's why it's good. We were actually talking about that, the liveness of a blockchain, right? So within blockchain and within governance and on blockchain, there is essentially like this ability for token holders to be the ones voting, right? So each one of those votes will have to be weighed with each one of those tokens. And then there can be like DREPs, decentralized representatives, that essentially stand up for what you want with your tokens. Where am I going with this? Democracy. Yeah. So by voting in that way, and with the liveness of the system, right? Like you can create hard built-in conditions. Like on this day, a decision, a conclusion will be made. So cast your vote today, right? In anticipation of that decision being made, so we can know what you've decided. Right? And in that way, with the liveness of the system, it's going to move on. It's not going to stop, right? Like democracy or not, a conclusion will be made, right? And that is, in a way, cool, right? The aliveness of a system. It needs to stay alive. Only dead things don't move, right? It's cool that that concept even exists in our blockchain technology as well. Like it made me really happy when I was like, within the future money, there is this wisdom too. Melty, I'm a little bit jelly about that experience. I've always wanted to experience an isolation tank. I mean, I don't know if it's expensive in America. I don't think it's going to be free. And making one won't be more than $2,000. Melt, $2,000 is a fuck ton of money, I know, but it's something that you are going to use ideally, right? And it's going to add value to your life. So an investment, maybe when you move. I do want to build an isolation tank. It's not going to be that hard. The way I would do it is basically with a mini brick wall that's going to turn into the tub, and then maybe there will be elements, like heating elements, built into the floor of that tub so that it can control the water temperature. There will be something that samples the water temperature so that it can be at the right temperature. And then there will be a box. I don't know why, but my throat is so scratchy right now. A box built over the little brick wall. Right, and that would be isolation box enough. Of course, you'll have to put salt in the water too. That's actually going to be expensive, weirdly enough. Hey Google, how much will it cost to put magnesium salt in my float tank enough to actually fill it? Yeah, the salt alone is going to be between $500 and $1,500. Epsom salt, also known as magnesium sulfate. Okay, let's talk about something. Is love an evolutionary trait, or is it something we learn through societal morals? I believe it's an evolutionary trait. I believe it's literally base code. I believe before anything else is, love is. Right? And you're like, huh? So think about it. Right? If love wasn't true, you wouldn't exist right now. As in, if I didn't love life or love myself, then I wouldn't take the next breath or eat food. Or eat food or go to sleep. Right? I would just not be. And if love wasn't true for my mom and dad, then they wouldn't have come together and had me and raised me up until this point. And if love wasn't true for their parents, then their parents wouldn't have procreated and created them. And then if love wasn't true, they wouldn't have actually loved one another enough. And if love wasn't true about their parents' parents, right? And like, again, that's just from the actual continued existence perspective, right? Like, you are evidence of love is true. Literally, the fact that you exist is evidence that love is true. But in that way, I feel like we are at a time in our journey where we have societally, what's the word you used? Our societal morals have unfortunately bastardized love to being something romantic, right? To being something potentially sexual, right? Like saying I love you to someone is usually something you say to maybe a family member or a partner, right? Saying I love you to one of the homies, depending on who your homies are and where you are in the world, might be frowned upon. And in that way, both instances are true, but we have only one word. We have only one nomenclature, right, for that expression. So yeah, I believe societal norms have hurt love more than it's made love. I call that black space The Expanse. That's cool. There's a TV show called The Expanse as well, Kiefer. I don't know if you've seen it. Bucket list, the void is the expansion. Some people lose their shit when they see the vastness of opportunity and infinity. Yeah, I think I've lost my shit way long ago, right? You can't lose what has been lost in that way. Right? It's somewhere very, very far back into the past. It's laying there somewhere. Well, there's merit in wanting to be there for everybody, just in and out of itself. It is a good deed. You see, the thing is, Nancy, even though I want to believe that, I want to believe that it's a good deed just in wanting to be, but a part of me feels like I'm an imposter because I might want to be, but I can't. All right, and maybe I have the capacity, but I don't. Maybe I'm tired on that day, or maybe I'm unaware. Maybe I just didn't think about it. All right, and the fact that I didn't think about it on that day means that maybe I'm an imposter after all, right? And I'm not saying that that's the case, but that's the kind of experience we end up going through. MeltMore magic. Yeah. Oh, let's talk about something I think I have. Love is vast. So many variables and ways to define it. It takes many forms, all of which are reflective to the individual experiencing it. At its core, I believe there's a pure, instinctual love that is evolutionary, woven into us for connection and survival. But as we socialize in the modern evolving world, our understanding of love shifts, shaped by the experiences around us. That's such a beautiful message, Zhao. I think we were saying the same thing. You just managed to say it so adequately and aptly. And so, non-judgmentally, I think I was more judgmental with like, this freaking world is fucking love up. I didn't say it like that, but it might have come off like that. And you're like, yeah, it is shifting our understanding of love, shaped by the experiences around us. The people that let you love them are important, and you should keep them close. There's the mini bong. I knew you were a cannabis person. Part of me wants to just for the shenanigans. A cannabis person. I want you to really zone in on making this person out of literal cannabis. I want you to use the big buds and the trichomes and the pistils and all of those calyxes as building blocks to make a humanoid entity. I'll show you a cannabis person. I'll show you. Come through cannabis first. No, why is it doing that? I told you, like it's literally giving me a verbal description of a cannabis person. Imagine an image of. Okay, there we go. Come through cannabis first. Yeah. I'm now gonna personalize myself. And click. Yeah. Having become one of the cannabis, this is what I look like. This looks like a superhero in a way, but a cannabis one. This is what my mind did. Like that's very close to what I imagined. I think it went like scale wise on in my mind. The actual size of things were different, right? Like the buds were way bigger relatively to the actual person that was being built. But that is a pretty good approximation of what I saw in my mind when I got called a cannabis person. I was like, now I become one of the cannabis. Yeah, I'll add a little bit more heat. And then we have been here for a whole hour. So I'll say goodbye soon. What a good bud. I mean, I don't know if I'd be a good bud to him. Imagine showing up to one of your homies' places and asking if you can smoke some of his skin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Good work, bud. Bless your friends. A best bud. He would be the bestest of buds. Bye. Cheers. It was nice having you here. Let me show you yesterday's flower. And then I'll read you a poem. And then I'll say you a goodbye. The rain is really coming down out there. like some of the textures that are going on here. They serve me brain well. Very gooders. Let me go back. All right. This poem really did make me happy. I hope it makes you happy too. It is a poem about the dichotomy of being a human being, right? This whole matter of infinity and nothing, since we talked a little bit about that, right? But more so infinity and the something, the person, the human being that you are, right? Being a human being, right, you're fragile. If you jump off a building, right, like there's not much that's going to help, right? You can pray on your way down, but unfortunately, right, physics. And relatively, again, that thing which is flying for the last few seconds, right, upon impact, I don't believe ceases to exist. I believe that that consciousness just again becomes aware of the fullness that always is, right? Of like, oh, yeah, I am soul, I am consciousness, I am that which I've been looking for. And then you're like, I'm so silly. And then you go right back to being, probably. That looks like art you could only create on some next level shit psychedelics. Well, I'll have you know that you're not wrong. Jokes on myself, technically. The infinite and the dust. I am the breath before the universe speaks. The silence after it swallows its own name. I stretch beyond time, yet stub my toe on the edge of the bed. I dream in galaxies, but forget why I walked into the room. I hold the weight of eternity in my chest, but still have things to do. This is the dance of being, the infinite wearing a body too small, the light trapped in a flickering bulb, the ocean inside a single drop. I am bound and I am boundless. I am the creator and the one who spills the paint. I carve reality with thought alone, yet still must practice patience in traffic. There is no escape from this paradox, only the grace of learning to hold both, to be the hand in the sky, to be the God who mops the floor and knows even then it is holy still. Oh, I read this poem yesterday in my email. I really like it. Nancy, I'm so happy. Thank you for supporting my work, right? Like, even if I can like get like one of those, like every 50 flowers, right? Worth it. The flowers are going to be pretty, right? But maybe you want more, right? Because again, like that's the other side of it as well, is that you could subscribe to my Patreon just for the flowers. You could be like, I don't read, Melt. You think I'm gonna read your poetry? Ha! Psych. I just like pretty stuff, and I'm gonna be like, pet. That's why I make pretty stuff. But maybe there's some more. There's some more desire, right? A little fractal for your mind to fall into. Thank you, friends, for showing up for these moments. I think today's flower is going to be cool too. It's going to be a little bit more darkish, bluish, purplish. It's going to be some vibes. Also, right, dualities. Horizontal A, yeah. I should probably start a horizontal one. Love you so much. That was nice and wholesome. Thank you, friends, for joining. I appreciate you. And I'll see you soon in a moment.